What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and we checked out a lot of amazing keyboards recently, and honestly, as someone who has the opportunity to try different ones and see which ones work best for this setup, it is often really hard to decide what is the perfect keyboard. And I find that I often gravitate towards low-profile mechanical keyboards because they're very productivity focused, and as someone who doesn't game a lot, I often look for something that makes me feel productive, gives a nice tactile feedback with just enough sound feedback as well. And this right here is the Lofree Flow, and it definitely checks off all of those boxes. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about some of the features, customizability, design, switch selections, and whether or not this is a keyboard that you should add to your productivity desk setup. If you guys would like to win one, I'm going to be giving one away, so just make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and let me know if you like the white or black one more, and also leave your Instagram username down below, and I'll be contacting a winner in 2 weeks, and a huge thanks to Lofree for sponsoring this video. So for starters, it's available in an 84 or 100 key model, and personally, I usually go for the 84 key because I want something that is relatively compact on the desk. On top of that, the design is fully constructed out of aluminum, and as you take a look at the details along the side, it comes in at just 10 millimeters of thickness, and there are some small touches that show the craftsmanship of the Lofree keyboard, including the small screws along the edge back, and also a Lofree logo on the side, which is a slight copper deviant that goes along with the color tone, but at the same time provides a bit of light contrast as well. I personally love the way the silver one looks with any Mac setup, but I'll also say the gray one right here with the black keys is that improved Apple Magic keyboard in the dark color that people have always wanted to see. In addition to that, it also has a raised bracket built in to the optimal angle. And even though I typically like to have an element of customizability in being able to have 2 stand positions or being able to eliminate it completely, I will say the Lofree Flow comes in at the optimal height right off the bat. It is a little bit on the flatter side. I think some people would like the keyboard to be raised a little bit more, or at least have the option to, but generally speaking, I think it does come in at a pretty optimal angle, but I would have liked to seen that extra layer of customizability. But the other thing that I also really notice with the design is just how it has a good element of squared off edges that are also rounded, and that is seen in the shape of the keyboard, but also in the keys itself. It really is a unique shape. These keycaps kind of mold inwards a little bit to the shape of the finger, very subtly, but even around the edge, it isn't like a hard edge. And so you can really flow and glide your hands around the keyboard easily. And especially if you're trying to type quickly, these are some very effective ergonomic features. The other thing that I also noticed with the keyboard is that it is very, very quiet and has such minimal vibration. The way the damper is set up and the way the keys are placed all contribute to this. And as you type around, even at a very high speed and high intensity, part of where the fixed hinge comes in to benefit is that it is all completely locked in and extremely solid. And so you don't have to worry about any of the hinges or elements shaking, but at the same time, the damper and the buffer that is built in within the keys is also really, really good. And that is something that I noticed immediately because I'm someone who definitely types quite hard. All of the keys are also backlit, which is great, and you also have RGB control, and so there's another layer of customizability there. But typically, whenever I'm looking for a keyboard that just stays on the desk setup for an extended period of time, I'm looking for something that is compact, nice to type on of course, has the backlight, and at the same time has multiple forms of connectivity to connect to different devices. And in this case, you can either connect it wired via USB Type-C, or you can use the Bluetooth function. And so you do have some options there, and you can connect it to devices such as your iPad, your smartphone, your computer, and more. So now that we've talked about the design and the feel, of course, the next most important thing in the mechanical keyboard is the switches, the options that you have, the way that it feels, the tech behind it. And when it comes to the switches that you're going to find on the Lofree Flow, there are some Kale full palm switches that are available in a few different options. 3 of them to be exact, but the ones that I have and have tested out include the Phantom and the Ghost. The Ghost is the quiet switch, and the Phantom is the one that has a little bit more audible and tactile feedback. and it really comes down to personal preference and your needs as to which one is right for you. But what's great is even if you decide to go ahead and switch them, it is a fully hot swappable keyboard that is very easy to change the switches. You just go ahead and order a set of switches, and you can even change the keycaps and stuff to really fine-tune the experience. But when you're ordering the keyboard, you can kind of take a look at all of the data and the characteristics of each of the 3 switches to decide which one is the right one for you. So here's what I've noticed from my observations. On this keyboard, I have the Phantom switch. The Phantom switch is the one that has a bit more audible feedback, but being a low-profile mechanical keyboard, it is one that has a lot of the same characteristics as something like the Apple Magic Keyboard or a laptop keyboard in terms of not having too much key travel at just about 15.5 millimeters, but at the same time gives you that tactile feedback that you might see out of a full mechanical keyboard. I personally found that it's really satisfying, but it also allows me to navigate the whole keyboard really quickly without having any accidental presses, but at the same time, I'm able to glide throughout it. And that is what I found so unique about the low profile aspect, the rounded keycaps, and just how smooth of an experience it is. I think that's how I'd sum up the whole thing, that it was very smooth. I personally found that between the Phantom and the Ghost switch, the Phantom was a switch that I liked a little bit more. It was just a bit louder, and I found that it wasn't too overwhelmingly loud, similar to some of the other mechanical keyboards that I've tried. But in the same time, the Ghost is probably one that is more similar to what I'm typically familiar with when it comes to my daily productivity keyboard. But otherwise, what is my overall conclusion on the Lofree Flow? It is their new model of mechanical keyboard, and is a company that has already created a lot of mechanical keyboards that are design focused, including the Block and this mouse that I've checked out recently. This is like a very modern approach when it comes to design. So first off, it is already a very traditional design that I really like, and it blends in a lot of my setups that are both light and dark. The aluminum finish that comes in a space gray as well as the silver can suit any type of setup, and I personally think that this is an incredible upgrade from the Apple Magic Keyboard because you can also get it in an 84 key model in a gray finish, which is something that I don't really know why doesn't exist at the moment. They really have done a good job in constructing this keyboard. It feels solid, it is light, it is thin. You have the wireless connectivity as well as the wired options. The battery life is great. And honestly, for a productivity keyboard, it comes in at a price point that I think is relatively fair. So as always, if you guys want to check it out for yourself, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below as to what you think, and I'll see you all in the next one. We'll be right back.